This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is Christine Stoddard Sánchez.
I'll backtrack. I went to the City College of New York for my MFA. I didn't pay anything for it. Scholarship. They give an award to 3 students upon graduation that lets you do more grad school, right? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do Columbia. It's the big name. Let me see if I can get in. Let me see if I can get the funding for it. And I did. So that's even why I'm here at Columbia now. It is not like super intellectually rigorous. It is much more about the relationships. It's much more about the networking. I have had an incredible, very supportive thesis advisor who's been interested and asked smart questions about my thesis. But I also have classmates who have chosen topics I really do not think are worth 4,000 to 5,000 words, and months of investigating, quote unquote. Their
Sánchez.
What'd you say?
Such as.
Oh, such as. Oh God. There's one person who is just writing about a local comedian trying and failing in stand-up in the community. I am at the school for networking. I am at the school to write something that is more ambitious. I'm writing about this one particular migrant shelter, this tent shelter that was shut down very recently, January 15th, in Brooklyn. It was the only one for families. It's taken a lot of investigation because there's so much that the city doesn't want out in the open about it. And I am writing about this because when I had a newspaper job before starting at the journalism school, there was no interest, there was no funding. Oh, there's too much about migrants in the media. Nobody wants to read about that. It's too negative, blah, blah, blah. So to have a thesis advisor who's pushing back and challenging and asking smart questions that I know in a mainstream newsroom environment might not happen, especially these days with all the downsizing, all the funding cuts, all the layoffs. I consider that a really wonderful opportunity. I didn't have to go to this school for that, but it is giving me the time to make it possible, to justify it to myself. But everything's pass fail. I'm not kidding. We, by default, are going to be graduating with 4.0 GPAs because nobody cares. They employers see the name and they like the name and they figure, okay, you must not be an idiot, but that's it.
What if you are? I mean, I don't know everyone. I'm not talking about you. I don't think everyone who goes to these top-notch schools is doing great.
No, I mean, I agree that they definitely will let in people to fill quotas. That there are some people that are not very engaged, but they're able to pay the tuition because they come from rich families. So I don't know what the percentage is. This year apparently was like a higher than average, I think, because they were having trouble this is my speculation. They were having trouble recruiting students after the encampments and the protests last spring. They offered a lot of scholarships this year. But the median scholarship was something like $50,000 or $60,000 for those who do receive a scholarship. Well, the school is still $100,000, and then you still need to live during that time. They don't give us living stipends. In PhD programs, it's more common to hear, okay, you get $20,000 or even $30,000 a year to live on, and your tuition's covered. But usually in master's degrees, if you get a scholarship, you're not also going to get a living stipend on top of that. That's rare. Very few programs offer that. And Columbia doesn't do that. If they cover tuition, you're still on your own for living. Okay, this is why you have students who are taking out more than $100,000 in loans because they have whatever the balance on their tuition is plus their living expenses. But I for sure have classmates who are paying the full ticket price. And I know because they've said it. I had a classmate take me out for coffee the other day. Very nice lady, right? But she told me like, well, my parents are paying for all of this. Like she literally has a credit card from her father. That's just, oh, okay. Yeah, let me take Christine out for coffee. Well, let me go to the bar, let me go shopping, all of that. Yeah, there are people who just blow off class, and there is a policy that they say, they have a lot that's written out that's not necessarily followed, but they have a policy about absences where you're not allowed to miss class for reporting. So if you say, oh, but I need to film an interview with someone that day because that's the only day that they're available. Yeah, but it's during your history class. You have to go to the history class.
So you're not missing a class? I thought you came here.
You're not allowed.
Like, yeah.
Well, we're recording on Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, okay.
Class hasn't started yet.
I was like feeling really important that, oh my God, she just did not go to her school today. She came here. Okay, so you didn't do
So they, no.
You didn't play hooky?
No, I did not play hooky. But there are no rules about anything else, other kinds of absences. So I'll see on Instagram, oh, so-and-so just went to the beach this weekend. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like I'll see, oh, so-and-so wanted to go to LA and miss their Friday class. You're posting all the photos and videos from this trip. You're supposed to be in this class. How come I'm busting my behind trying to get all these assignments in? Because if you actually do the work, then it can be rigorous. If you take everything seriously, then it can be rigorous. If you want to actually meet with your advisor regularly and show them what you're writing or what you filmed, yeah, then it can be a lot. And I'm trying to make it that. But if you don't want to take it seriously, you don't have to because you're going to pass. They've told us, and it's also in writing in the policy, that it is extremely rare for anyone to fail out of the program. But if you do fail a class, then you have to retake it at your own expense. So even if you have a scholarship, you would have to retake that class and pay for it yourself. I don't know anyone who's failed anything, and I've seen a lot of not trying.
Yeah. So, your mom.
Okay.
She knows you're highly educated.
Yeah, and she's very proud of it. I don't think she necessarily understands the nuances of the different schools. Like, to her, college is college, and that's good enough. Now she has some appreciation for Columbia being, oh, well, that's more prestigious than CUNY, where I did my MFA. But she was still very proud that I did my MFA. She was over the moon.
She wanted you to be highly educated.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
For your degree program. What your dad?
He was much tougher. So he did go to college. He took the long route because he worked and paid for it himself. I think it maybe took him 6 or 7 years altogether to finish his undergrad, and he didn't earn a master's. He went to School of Visual Arts for his certificate, and then he went to RIT for his 4-year degree.
So he being an artist, how does he see you?
He always wanted me to be a lawyer or a doctor. Like, he would encourage my gifts, but at the same time remind me, you have to make a living. You have to make money. You always need to think about money. And both of my parents were like that. They were never like, oh yes, go follow your bliss. It was, okay, if you're going to do this, you better do this for real, and you better figure out how you're going to make money. So in high school, I started freelancing. I worked part-time at an art gallery, and then I started freelancing for newspapers and magazines, doing writing, photography, and illustration. The internet was taking off with like web magazines. So I started writing for those in the blogging days, right before that whole bubble burst. But yeah, there was never because especially now at Columbia, I have classmates who like don't think about money at all because they don't have to. But they wanted me to be very practical as possible while doing something creative. I think it was second year of college that my dad realized, like, well, she's not going to do law school. She's not going to do medical school. So she better keep going. Earring. She better keep going with what she's doing. But just seriously. And I did.
So you mentioned about MFA.
Yeah.
What was your concentration?
This program, okay. It's called a Digital and Interdisciplinary Art Practice.
Okay.
MFA.
Wow.
So
yes.
So it was, I guess the easiest way to say it is that it was one of those like make your own degrees. It was rooted in conceptual art. So everybody had to take these theoretical art classes that basically helps you understand the art world up until the point it is today, art with the internet, but really visual and performing arts coming together, and how World War II inspired all these artists to say, oh, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to create a whole new world, or we're going to do it through art. Up until like with the internet making it so that now anybody can be an artist, right? Anybody can do creative things and find an audience in some way, and how that led to like more fractured audiences. How with Michael Jackson, he had a captive audience, right? Like everybody knew who Michael Jackson was. Now you can have artists of all kinds who are extremely popular in their niche, but the average person might not have ever heard of them, right? Because things are just a lot more fractured. Yeah, so in my program, I did like ultimately for my thesis, I did this multimedia exhibition. It had this 40-minute video. It had ceramic sculptures. It had a couple of book art projects. It had photography. Had this paper installation. But it was about a bicultural woman coming of age during the internet, and things that she found out about El Salvador's civil war along the way. But I took ceramic classes. I took a Spanish literature class. I took an art history class that I couldn't even tell you what it was about, to be honest, because
but still, you are very personable, informed,
thanks. I try.
articulate, right? My personal understanding through experiences is that people who have been through a master's program, mostly like MFA in acting, they end up becoming socially awkward and
like too academic.
Yeah, which is, these degrees are not supposed to. So first of all, this is, I know a lot of people will hate me after this. Someone who has produced and cast for movies and series, unfortunately, people who have MFAs were not able to act in my project the way we wanted.
Yeah.
And I learned from somebody who was working on network shows. So I learned how do they make content, which is pretty fast. So you can't be in an ideal environment. It's not like
Right.
MFA
Yeah.
3-hour class where you chill,
Yeah.
prepare a scene and all that. And the other thing I noticed was people who become emotionally numb after spending 3 years. They know how to become emotionally available in the scene, but the scene ends and then they would sit there. You can't talk to them, you can't relate to them. And unfortunately, these people are not informed about the world.
Yeah.
They are expected to act out the misery of humanity or the struggles, joys, and celebrate with the people in a particular age. But I don't think they can do that. This is my personal experience. And same, I have auditioned for a lot of programs, right? And even people who are on the other side of the table, head of these top-notch institutions, who would audition you for their MFA programs. When you try to relate to them, it's not pleasant.
Yes.
You see something is off, and they're just stuck in that small little world. They have an assumption that we know the world better. Maybe a imaginary world. They can create Hamlet's world.
Yeah.
But that's a little different than where we are today.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so happy that I went to public school for those reasons. I'm so happy that I had parents who didn't have these elite educations. And I'm happy that my parents tried to get me to know different kinds of people and listen to different kinds of people, watch different kinds of people. We would go to festivals, we would go to different churches, and like I was saying, other religions too. Not to worship necessarily, but just to get to know different kinds of people. And yeah, I mean, I went to Grinnell College in Iowa for a year. I had this full scholarship, and it was so white, so Protestant. So many of my classmates had gone to private school for K through 12. Some of them had gone to boarding school, even like these very elite, very cloistered, everybody's the same kind of environments. So then they go to a college where it's still the same. It's okay. Really, all these people from the suburbs of Chicago and the suburbs of the Twin Cities coming to this elite college. That made me a weirdo as somebody from the East Coast, because I didn't have this Midwestern background. My parents hadn't gone to Grinnell or Oberlin or Carleton. And it's a huge feeder school for the Ivy Leagues. So many people there had parents who also had master's degrees from Ivy League schools. And I didn't have that kind of background. And I immediately felt out of place. I was so happy to transfer to VCU in Richmond, Virginia. Huge public school. The art school is considered one of the best public art schools in the country by U.S. News and Report and all those places that rank, which is silly. The more I live life, the more I think those rankings are silly. But yeah, I loved being in a little city on the East Coast. I loved that there were so many different kinds of people at the school and professors from all over the world, right? And I just thought it was a much more realistic and just happier place to be. And by the time I graduated and had worked a little bit and was ready to move to New York, I really felt prepared for meeting different kinds of people and being around them. And I don't just mean racially. I think many people assume, diversity. They see race first, right? They consider race first. But it's also, like you were mentioning before, these different religious or faith-based ways of looking at the world, because you need to have some understanding of why people do things the way they do. Like, what are their motivations, right? And also, like, economic background makes such a difference too, because if somebody was raised very poor, it makes sense that they might have more of a scarcity mindset, because there was more struggle, there was more preserving things and having to fight for stuff, versus somebody who just had everything handed to them and never had to worry, oh, we can use all the paper towels because, well, it doesn't matter if it's full price and we're not buying things on sale because whatever, daddy will pay for it. Yeah, I'm happy that I didn't, from high school, go to Columbia, for example. Like, I appreciate now the opportunities that this place is giving me, will hopefully continue to give me, but I would not want to be on that campus at age 19. It's just not, that's not the world.
Education.
Yeah, I was going to say
You said,
snobby Columbia people.
yeah, you said you were thankful you did not go to Columbia as a 19-year-old
Yeah.
girl, young woman.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So many answers. So one is that the school is just so uptight. People are so focused on one kind of achievement. It's very quantitative. And like I said, in the journalism school, it's pass fail. So, you know.
Oh, so you don't have to worry about your grades.
No, right. You make it what you want it to be. If you're gonna take it seriously, good. If not, well, whatever.
Still pass.
You can still pass.
Okay.
But I know other programs are not necessarily like that. I hear people obsessing when I'm at the library, when I'm in line at the coffee shop on campus. People are so much about, like, gotta get that perfect score, have to get into this program after I'm done with that one, have to go intern for that law firm, whatever. It's extremely competitive, and not in a way that I think is healthy, not in a way that really benefits anyone. It's just to cross things off of a list. It's not to live a fulfilling life and be productive and help other people. It's just achieve. And it worries me. I think somebody who's in their teens or very early 20s is going to be more impressionable. That's generally how life goes, right? You become more sure of yourself as you get older. My grandma used to say, you don't know what the hell you're doing until you're 26 anyway, which is probably right. Like, there are all these studies about brain development, not really, your brain's not fully formed until you're at least 25 years old. Some studies show it might be even a little bit later than that, 27. But yeah, I think it might have been too easy as an 18 or 19-year-old to get swept up in that competition without really stopping to ask, well, what do I want? What do I consider a good life? What do I consider being a productive member of society versus, oh, this is what everyone else at this highly competitive school is doing. Better do the same thing. Yeah, I'm happy I didn't get swept up in that whirlwind. And I'm also happy that I've been around so many different kinds of people. The college especially. So it's a university. I believe it's 17 different schools that are on the campus. But the Columbia College, the undergraduate school in particular, is full of extremely privileged people, people who grew up very rich, like upper middle class is poor by those standards, right? Like people who wanted for nothing, people who went to private school or boarding school, K through 12, and for them not to have to think about money at all. And yeah, it's all, I know it's become more Asian over the years, but it's still a very white environment. Not many Black students, not many Hispanic students. And
Actually, I've seen that at Yale.
yeah.
The undergrad, or I think it was undergrad, the younger students are so Asian. I'm talking
Oh, yeah.
a few years ago, but still, it looked like, oh my God, I'm in a different country.
Yeah.
And I
the Ivy
was
League.
sure that are they because they can afford, or it's because they can put the kind of effort or lifestyle
Mhm.
some of these programs demand.
Uh-huh.
And I'm with you. I understand that it's tough. It's not healthy. I agree with you. And I don't know, in the long run, it's beneficial. That's what my understanding is from the acting schools, because I've seen people who have these MFAs, and I can't say that they are better actors. And how many MFAs do we see doing movies and network shows? Because that's the standard we have
Right.
made, that okay, this is the standard. This is the industry: network shows and movies, big budget movies, studio produced movies. So how many of us who have MFAs are doing that, right? And but if you don't have, that's the thing. Like if you're going to a school to get into a law firm or a med school, and then you're going to become a lawyer or a doctor, what is the end goal?
Mm.
Right. The verse, actually, the scripture which I read, we started talking about that because of your dad's
Yeah,
work
yeah.
ethic. But when I'm reading it, it reminds me that the follower of Jesus Christ is supposed to live his or her life for him as the Lord, right? And is that the same goal? Because a lot of people who are privileged in this country, they identify themselves as Christians,
Right.
right? But do they live their lives according to the biblical principles or not?
Capitalism. They live by by capitalism.